world moves fast. Your workday? Even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Are we in for another May the 4th be with you type of games? I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and this is the latest Milano Daily from Anything But Footy, where we talk about the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not just once every 4 years.
Yeah, the first Paralympics GB athlete in finals action and finishes in 4th place, just like the Olympics.
And we have TNT for you coming up, tomorrow's news today, and why these really are a home games for a Paralympics GB debutant.
Family base over there, knowing Cortina really feels like the stars aligned beautifully for this one for me. So
we round up the rest of the news of the games, including a biathlon clean sweep for Ukraine. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. Download, listen, follow, pass it on to your friends. Tell your fellow Olympic and Paralympic fans who we are. So this is the Paralympics. This is Paralympics GB, but it started very similar to the Olympics and Team GB. A 4th place for Neil Simpson and guide brother Andrew in the men's downhill visually impaired on day one. A time of 1:21:31. The Simpsons said it was better than in training, and they will take what they learned into the Super G this coming week. Now, Fred Warburton and James Hannon were 7th in their Paralympic debuts, and we'll hear from Fred later on in the pod. Michael, a 4th place for Paralympics GB. We don't want any more of those, do we?
No, I actually think having sort of followed Neil and his brother in the training runs, I actually think, as he said, it was an improvement on the training. So I think a little bit different to those 4th place finishes that we saw in the early stages of the Olympic Games, where, you know, we had seen the likes of Mia Brooks and Kirsty Muir with a real opportunity to go on the podium, and just in the end falling short and falling into 4th place, if you like. For this one, I actually think Neil Simpson was exceeding what we'd already seen of him in the games. This wasn't one of his strongest events, so I actually think the 4th place shows, as he said, a great deal of confidence ahead of some of those bigger events, the better events as far as he's concerned, coming up later on in the games.
And the Super G, which I say is the next one, that's his Paralympic gold medal. That's the one he's defending. So he's in a place, as he said, that he now knows a bit more about the course, a bit more about the feel of it, and he'll go in the Super G looking to defend that Paralympic gold medal. While it was a family affair in the downhill, I think this is an amazing story. Veronika Egner from Austria and guide Lily Sammer winning the first gold of the Games in the visually impaired category in the women's downhill. It's the 23-year-old's 3rd Paralympic gold medal, having won both slaloms in Beijing 4 years ago. And then her brother, Johannes Egner, won the men's downhill for Austria with guide Nico Habel. And what a celebration the Egner family are having, I would think, after that start to the Paralympics.
Yeah, and the downhill was also the first time we've seen the Russian flag raised at the Paralympic Games. No anthem, because it wasn't a gold medal. But for the first time since 2014, Russia's flag was on the podium. Vavava Veronchikina bagged the bronze in the women's downhill standing. She did lead for a while. France won the silver and Sweden took the gold.
Well, it was very slushy, very soft, and what is normally a fast and furious race became a bit of a slugfest. The words of Scott Mina in his first of 4 events in the biathlon and cross-country skiing at these games. The flag bearer for Paralympics GB finished 23rd in the biathlon in his first event on day one in a time of 24:54:30 in the biathlon sprint sitting final. But he has more events to come, and again, hopefully, we've learned from these conditions. But it does feel, Michael, that these conditions have changed since the Olympics. It's a lot wetter because there's this warmer kind of air temperature.
Yeah, he described it as being a chaotic race. Scott Mina and a lot of people were hopeful. I was reading some sort of previews of this event yesterday in which they were saying that Scott Mina should be targeting a top 5 finish in this race. But as you say, I think conditions really didn't work for him in this. And yeah, it's interesting, the weather conditions, and this will be a conversation that we are having on a more broader level as we go forward with the Winter Games, especially with the Winter Olympics and then the Paralympics being a month later when these games are staged in Europe, as they will be again in 4 years' time. Are we going to have the right sort of conditions in mid-March, or do we perhaps need to look at the calendar and maybe compacting that little part of the year that we've got where you can get the Olympics and then the Paralympic Games away together? A hat-trick for Team JJ, Paralympics GB mixed doubles team. They are growing into the tournament. What do I say? Not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah.
3 wins on the trot, including a brilliant 11-2 thrashing against Japan in the Cortina Curling Centre, world champions Japan. Joe Butterfield and Jason Keane cemented their place in joint second in the round-robin table behind China, who have won 5 out of 5. The Chinese are there. They've qualified for the semis already. Remember, this is a brand new competition, brand new discipline for the Paralympics, but China are the mixed team double reigning champions, and GB faced them next. Joe Butterfield said afterwards, we played really well. I think we've grown into this competition. We've played better in every game we've played, and that was a demonstration out there.
You're absolutely right, Michael, how they are growing into it. And as Joe said there as well, just an interesting one that I've observed watching a lot of Joe and Jason. The way that they work together, and they're chit-chatting and having a laugh, even when maybe they're not making the shots that they want to make. But isn't it interesting as well that they both stay at the end where they're drawing the stone? So a lot of the other teams you watch, one of the mixed doubles will go down the other end and have the marker on the ice rink to where they're aiming for, a bit like we saw during the Olympics. But Joe and Jason don't do that. They both kind of look from afar down, and it's obviously working for them, isn't it?
I hadn't noticed it actually until you pointed it out. But now when I've watched some of the highlights back, I see exactly what you say. But as you said there, it's working for them at the moment. And hopefully they can continue their progress. And, we spoke to Joe, didn't we? Well, we spoke to Joe and Jason in the build-up to these games. And Joe said she's there. She's targeting that gold medal, a history-making gold medal, because she has one from the Summer Games in Rio. And now she's looking for one from the Winter Games. A gold medal, as we know, very hard to win, but putting themselves in the position at least to get to those knockout stages.
Yeah, you mentioned the Chinese though. 5 out of 5. I mean, they're just actually flying, as you say. They're the team double reigning champions, and this mixed doubles event is obviously brand new, but they've started it incredibly strongly. So Great Britain, China, huge game at lunchtime on day 2.
Now, not to start the mixed team curlers we're hoping for. So that was the doubles, but the team are in action, which is Hugh Niblo, Austin McKenzie, Stuart Pimlett and Karen Aspie. They lost 9-2 to Slovakia in their opening round robin match in Cortina. The fifth end, they lost 4 points. It was a lot tighter in the second match of the day, the evening match against the US. They were 5-4 going into the extra end, after the USA won a point back in the 8th, but the Brits had the hammer and they won that extra end as well. Narrow victory, 6-5, but the curling stones are now rolling.
They're rolling once again for the mixed team. As you say, sometimes it's just about getting that first win on the board. Now, we know that no Ollie Hill in the men's snowboard because of the crash that he had last week in training and concussion rules. But James Barnes Miller was ranked 5th in the seedings ahead of the first round and finals on day 2 of the Para Snowboard Cross. His best time, 52.17 seconds down the course. So fingers crossed we could maybe see a early Paralympics GB medal in these games. Davy Jouf was 18th on his Paralympic debut. We heard from him in the podcast in the last episode. He came down in a time of 58.58.
So in other news from the Games, Ukraine have won 3 gold medals on the opening day of the Games in biathlon, John.
They have, and I think this is a really interesting story. You mentioned about the Russians earlier being on the podium, but actually Ukraine have got their biggest team ever at a Paralympics, and they have started the biathlon incredibly strongly. Alexandra Kononova won the para biathlon women's sprint standing just after Taras Rad had won the men's sprint sitting gold medal as well. So 2 gold medals in consecutive races. Kosanova said afterwards, "I'm really happy that today I have a gold medal. We have the anthem of Ukraine here, and thank you for all your support of Ukraine." It's a very emotional time, I think, that they are trying to win medals for themselves while also their families and of course friends, and the country is fighting for itself as well. And there was a clean sweep for Ukraine in the visually impaired men's biathlon sprint, with Alexander Kasich taking top spot in the podium. So they were first, second and third. So incredibly strong start to the games for Ukraine. China and the USA won the other biathlon golds. In fact, America's Oksana Masters now has 15 Paralympic winter medals in total after she won gold yesterday.
Remember, Ukraine were second on the medals table at the Winter Paralympics behind China 4 years ago. So there is, as you say, a real emotional sort of pull behind that Ukraine team, both 4 years ago and again here in Milan Cortina. We were watching the para ice hockey yesterday as well. Some big wins for China and the US. The 5-time winners from the States, they thrashed Italy 14-1. Didn't go down well with the home crowd. China, the bronze medalists from Beijing, they beat Germany 12-0. Czechia beat Japan in a more modest score of 3-2. And Canada, the 2024 world champions, they faced Slovakia and they crushed them 8-0. We have more matches in the para ice hockey on Monday.
And actually, there was a record attendance in Milan for the Paralympics ice hockey. More than 9,000 people turned up for the USA-Italy match as well. Probably not the result the Italians were hoping for, as you say, a 14-1 defeat. But the USA have won this gold medal in the Paralympics 5 times, 4 on the trot as well. So they're looking to do the famous 5 in para ice hockey. Well worth keeping an eye on in that competition. So the medals table after day 1. Michael, give us the top 3, please.
Ukraine, top of the pile, 3 golds, 6 medals. China, they will come very strong as the games progress. 2 golds, 6 medals in total. And Austria up there as well after a couple of golds on day 1 of the games as well.
Yeah, those downhill family affair, brother and sister. That would be. You must be a very proud parent, I would have thought. If your son and daughter both go and win gold medals on the first day of the Paralympics.
We've talked about sporting parents in the past, haven't we? The likes of the Brownlees and the Murrays. And we can add the Austrian Igers to that as well now.
And in fact, we found out, didn't we? We were talking about athletics the other day because we know that Renee Regis is going to go and compete for Great Britain in the World Relays. Who she's the daughter of John Regis, but you also found out who, of course, her mum was as well.
Is Jennifer Stout. So yeah, some definite genes there going on.
This is Milano Daily. There's TNT, tomorrow's news today, and other news from the games coming up, because we cover the Olympics and Paralympics all the time, not once every 4 years.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Anything But Footy, and on to tomorrow's news today. Neil Simpson, the Beijing gold medalist from Paralympics GB, is someone we heard from earlier this week. He's going in 5 of the 5 alpine ski events in these games. But so is 31-year-old Fred Warburton, who finished 7th in his first Paralympic event in the downhill, as we mentioned earlier. Now, Fred's wife is Italian, and he started skiing after being a decathlete and when he started to lose his sight. And I caught up with him before the games began to find out more.
I started skiing seriously around 2 years ago, and I moved to Italy and had the pleasure of skiing with a guide in Italy for the very first time as my vision was deteriorating. It was really obvious that I needed to ski with a guide. So I found a charity and started skiing with them, and they said, you show real promise. And then in my head, I sort of built up this picture of sort of going from showing real promise to wanting to ski at the Paralympic Games. And I had 2 years to do it. And from that day on, really, everything had been geared up towards this mission. So it's been a very, very, very boiled down, concentrated effort for 2 years. And I've had so many people that have helped me to get to this point, that have done so much for me and supported me on this journey. But I feel really, really honoured and privileged to be able to have done it for them, but also to have done it for myself. And it's been a mega journey.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're from Winteringham in Lincolnshire.
I am indeed, yeah.
Okay, so the flattest part of the whole of the UK, and
Exactly.
you decide to ski down mountains. How does this work?
Yeah, so I've been inspired by the flat landscape to then sort of pursue winter sport. I should have been doing cross country skiing, but instead I picked alpine skiing. But I was really lucky and fortunate enough to study in London, and I met an incredible lady called Mickey, who is now my wife, and she's from Italy, and her family are very passionate skiers. And so to impress my father-in-law, I started going skiing and trying to ski fast. And it was apparent that I was nowhere near as good as them, so I needed to brush up on my skills. So it absolutely drove me to get better and to train really hard and improve my skiing skills. And fast forward, 5 or 6 years, we're here now. Like beginnings in Winteringham and family ski trips and school ski holidays have morphed into full-time living in Italy and training as an athlete for alpine skiing, which is a crazy story.
Another way of looking at it is that you live in Winteringham. You couldn't have been in the Summer Olympics, could you? You'd had to be in the Winter Olympics.
Exactly.
Winter Paralympics. Exactly.
Unbelievable.
One more question, Fred. In all seriousness, when we're watching the Olympics at the moment, the Paralympics to come. We haven't had a European Games in effect in the winters since Italy 2006. And so many people are saying, well, this is like a home games for Paralympics GB, but actually for you, Italy is a home games.
Yeah. So all my in-laws and all the family are over there, based in Italy. I'm going to have what feels like a home advantage for sure. Obviously proudly representing Paralympics GB, my home nation. But yeah, family base over there, not too far on a plane for folk coming from the UK to support us and cheer us on. I know the atmosphere is going to be incredible. I hope to sort of spot some orange beanies if my peripheral vision allows, or lack thereof, peripheral vision allows me to spot friends and family in the crowd. We'll have a good group there for sure, and it's extremely exciting. Also, kind of knowing a bit of the language, knowing Cortina, it's just that really feels like the stars aligned beautifully for this one for me. So, all my team, coaching staff as well, that sort of not the GB Snow Sports team, they've given me so much support, but my team out in Italy as well, Angie, Robbie, Carol, Matteo, Rumbi, all Italians. So sort of having my team there with me as well is amazing, because they've been with me and they believed in me when sort of very few others did, which is kind of crazy.
Fred Warburton speaking to John in action in the men's Super G visually impaired discipline on Monday morning. And we're hoping, fingers crossed, that Menna Fitzpatrick will be there as well with Katie Guest, her guide in the women's race too. Do stay with us. We'll keep you up to date right here on Anything But Footy Milano Daily. We are back for the Winter Paralympic Games every day.
And in other news away from the Winter Games, we know that baseball is returning for the LA 28 Games, in the Summer Games, of course. And Great Britain baseball hoping to maybe get a position to qualify, but they're competing this weekend in the 2026 World Baseball Classic for only the second time in their history. But they are finding it tough in Houston, in Texas. They lost their opening Pool B match to Mexico 8-2, and then they had to come up against just the mighty USA in their next group game. And unfortunately, they've lost that 9-1 overnight our time.
We saw, of course, didn't we, in the ice hockey tournament in the recent Olympic Games, the big guns from the NHL, the National Hockey League, come and play for some of the big nations that competed there. And as we look ahead to that Summer Games, it's interesting that you're talking about baseball. As we know, they are heading to Los Angeles, and Major League Baseball and the Players Association have confirmed that they're already working through the costs and logistics of sending the big leaguers to the international tournament. So we could be seeing the MLB players and the leading names in the sport at the Olympic Games in 2028.
And we've said this so many times, Michael, haven't we? When we see the NBA players like LeBron and Steph Curry come and play for Team USA in the basketball, that actually having the world's best players in these sporting competitions, in the Olympics, brings so much attention, but also it values the Olympics as well. It makes them even more important.
Yeah, and the same argument in football as well. And lots of people, it's a perennial discussion about football's place at the games. But when the likes of Kylian Mbappe want to go and play for France, and Thierry Henry wants to go and coach the French team at the Olympic Games, it just, for me, adds even more legitimacy to the argument. And I don't think it's an argument, because football's been part of the Olympic program for over a century. So I don't see why the people debate it. But the fact that the big players want to come and play and they value winning an Olympic gold, and, golf is on that journey, getting the big names to come, and it's beginning to happen. Tennis, it's taken some time since that was reintroduced in 1988, but show me Novak Djokovic at Roland Garros winning that gold medal and tell me the big names don't want to play in the Olympic Games. You can't make that argument. And so, yeah, baseball is got a great opportunity. I think with the games being hosted in the States as well, if this wasn't going to be the edition that the big name players came, then potentially it never would.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And Carlos Alcaraz, you're not telling me that he doesn't want to go to LA 28 and take that Olympic gold medal that, of course, he lost in that famous final, as you mentioned, in Roland Garros against Novak Djokovic. It'll be a great tournament, the LA Olympics, and we'll be looking ahead to that as the days and weeks progress. But we are here with Milano Daily. Thank you for your support during the Olympics, listening up 500% in the last month. Make sure you tell your friends all about it. We'll be here every day with the latest from the Milano Cortina Paralympics. There's also the latest on our socials. You can get in touch via the website, anythingbutfooty.com. And we've got a new song for the Spotify Olympics music playlist, Cotton Eye Joe.
That's what we call spiders in our house, because where do they come from? Where do they go?
That's very good. Excellent. It's one of those songs, though, that you just haven't heard since the 1990s, and you go, oh yes, I really, and you tap your feet, and you did hear it quite a bit even when we were in Milan from memory during the Olympics. So we'll be adding that to our Spotify playlist. Cotton Eye Joe. Where do they come from? Where do they go? Excellent.
You can always skip past it.
You can't. If you're listening, to the Olympic playlist, then you have made that choice, and you have to put up with the likes of Mariah Carey, as we all did at the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.